alert. It is a pursuit. The 210 freeway, Azusa Skyfox is over it, as is Rick Dickert. Rick?
That's exactly right. A burglary suspect here on the westbound side of the 210 freeway, right at the 605, coming out of Azusa into Irwindale. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department is pursuing this suspect here. And this pursuit started out in Pomona on the 10 freeway westbound. He's driving in an SUV. We're going to zoom in on this car here in just a moment. From the 10 westbound, he transitioned to the northbound 57. We know this because of the scanner traffic we're listening to, and then made his way onto the westbound 210. Now making the transition to the southbound 605 in Irwindale. He will make his way south now down into El Monte and towards the 10 freeway. He's stayed primarily on freeways, but he did exit onto surface streets for a short time in Pomona. Unclear if there's anybody else except the one suspect in the SUV now. As we widen out and we show you that car that is being pursued here on the southbound side of the 605. 90 miles an hour through traffic. That is the suspect there, guys, right there. The burglary suspect that's being pursued by sheriff's deputies on the southbound side of the 605, now approaching the 10. How's the traffic here? It's light. Again, he's been going at speeds as high as 90 miles an hour. This is a situation that's very dangerous, obviously, to law enforcement. Unclear what kind of suspect we're dealing with. He wants to run, obviously, and that's what he's doing. And anytime a pursuit lasts this long, it becomes more of a danger to the public. Most pursuits last under a minute. This one has been going a good 15 or 20 minutes. Once again, South 605. The next freeway of choice he will have if he wants to make a transition will be the 10 freeway, which he's already spent some time on. In fact, that's where we first heard the pursuit, on the 10 freeway, passing the LA County Fairgrounds there. The SUV here, looks like the windows are tinted. We do not know if there's anybody else inside, as I had mentioned, besides the suspect, a burglary suspect here being pursued. And how these pursuits start, the law enforcement, the agency, the lead on the investigation around an incident wants to pull over an individual like this. First, they follow him because they know that they could be dealing with a criminal here. They get some backup involved. Then they light him up. And if that suspect fails to pull over, the pursuit is on. And that's exactly what happened off to the east in Pomona. There he goes, traveling in and out, swerving in and out of lanes. Light volume here on the southbound side of the 605 freeway. Now approaching the 10, bordering here El Monte on the south end of the San Gabriel Valley. And he's going to have the option here to go south on the 605, stay on the 605, or make the transition to the east or westbound 10 freeway. And it looks like he will stay on the 605 freeway. Next freeway would be the 60. Looking up ahead, Steve, another mile or two. Volume is still relatively light, so he's going to have a pretty much open freeway here to make his moves.
And this has been going on now for 20 minutes or so as we've been watching this guy just weave in and out of traffic. Very dangerous situation. Hopefully this will come to a peaceful end, as we've been watching different pursuits in the last couple of days. Yesterday, one that ended peacefully, thank goodness. And that's all we can hope for, is that he doesn't hit somebody, that there's no accident involved with innocent victims, and hopefully he might... I'm sorry, in my ear again? Okay, now we are hearing that he is on Whittier, in Whittier, excuse me, producer, I'm sorry. In Whittier on the 605 freeway, and he has been very fortunate to get such light traffic. Hopefully, he'll run out of gas. These things don't get a lot of gas mileage, so two things can happen. This can go on forever and until he runs out of gas, or he could surrender peacefully, which often happens. Hopefully, he will come to his senses and it'll end peacefully. As I can see sort of into that SUV, it does look like he is alone in that SUV, but it is difficult to tell with the tinted windows. And obviously they want to keep some sort of safe distance to not aggravate him or antagonize him, because we don't know what type of criminal we are dealing with. But usually what happens is they're not going to pursue somebody like this unless he is indeed wanted for some criminal activity. So he could be a dangerous person, he could be armed. They just want to make sure that they keep track of him and where he goes. And now he's exiting. Maybe you could tell me in my ear, producer, where he's headed. Okay, now we understand that the California Highway Patrol has taken over this pursuit, handed it over from Sheriff's. Now, unfortunately, he's on surface streets, and this is where we hate to see this happen, because especially traveling at high speeds, someone who's, one more time, Gladwell Street, slowing down a little bit, but unfortunately when you see this sort of situation, okay, now he's in the riverbed. This could be interesting to see what he decides to do. It looks like, since he obviously has a big truck and he can maneuver through these dirt roads, he's not going to get far because the helicopter is over this guy, watching him closely. He is desperately trying to make a getaway, but he probably doesn't know where he's going, and we'll see if he's able to get back onto a freeway. Hopefully they'll be able to end this peacefully before he can get back onto surface streets, because that's when you really get worried, when you see these people desperately trying to get away and then pedestrians on the street and that sort of thing, that not expecting somebody to be barreling down their street. Still in the riverbed. This is the San Gabriel riverbed, and just watching him four-wheel through this area. I don't know if it's four-wheel drive or not. We could get Dave Coons to give me some answers on that one. But he is approaching Dunlap now. Again, this is a burglary suspect, and it started a good 25 minutes ago. He is desperately trying to get away from authorities, but looks like he's in a really sandy area near the train tracks now. And now he's in Pico Rivera. Still making his way along this dirt path. Is he still in the riverbed? It's hard to tell from my angle. Yes, I guess he is. And Air 7 HD is following him overhead, as so is the CHP following him behind. And hopefully he will come to a dead end. You can only hope. So this started, what time? It is about 12:15, 12:20 it began. This burglary suspect wanted in San Dimas. He did not pull over peacefully, and that's when the pursuit began. Went through Pomona at very, very high speeds. We saw him on several freeways going 90 miles an hour, sometimes traveling just speeds all throughout the lanes of that freeway. We were seeing him come to, maybe he's coming to a stop or realizing he can't get much further. Got himself into some pretty rocky terrain there. Pulling out, getting out of the car, making a run for it. I can't tell if he is armed or not, but the suspect running along that road in Pico Rivera pulled the truck over and now making a run for it with a helicopter overhead. Obviously, he's not going to get very far or be able to hide, and there's jumping that fence, as you can see. At least we now know that perhaps he was alone in that vehicle, unless an accomplice in that truck who stayed behind in that SUV, but we don't think so. Now hiding behind that tree in Pico Rivera.
I can see, just looking outside of Skyfox, if we pedal right, please, we can see there are some CHP units. Again, that sheriff's deputy, that helicopter is directing these officers in patrol cars exactly where the suspect is so that they can catch up to him along the San Gabriel River. He really ran out of an area that was drivable. Now he's in the riverbed here.
Did he run in the sewer?
The tunnel there, and again, the sheriff's deputy saw that. So he's in this tunnel now, and I see some deputies, perhaps some officers from the California Highway Patrol here staging in the area as well. So they know he's in there, they know he went in there, and now they're going to have to determine how they're going to get at him in that tunnel. Yeah,
Michael Sayer, former LAPD. This is an odd situation, isn't it?
Well, it is. Now, I would have to back up a little bit. I think this guy knows this area a lot more than you're giving him credit for, because all his moves have been deliberate. So he knew exactly where that tunnel was. He knew that, he never slowed down when he went on the dirt. So this guy has very familiar with this area. Now, this is a perfect situation for the canines. The canines can go into the tunnel there much easier than the officers can, and it's much safer to send the canines in there after them. What they have to do is they have to find out if this tunnel here, if the riverbed, if it forks off, if it has any other joining tunnels to it, and where it comes out. And that's where they have to stage and tactically prepare for this guy to come out. or take another route if there's a branch that's in there that goes in another direction.
So we assume they are on the phone with authorities who are familiar with the layout here, looking at blueprints?
Yeah, there's, the DWP, they have access to these things. A lot of the rangers, like park rangers and stuff, they understand where these corridors go and these tunnels go sometimes. So, yeah, you're pulling in a lot of resources. You got people on the phone. You got people on the radio that are trying to contact this. And you're just trying to keep them boxed in for right now before you make any tactical plans.
And here you can see, it looks like those are California Highway Patrol officers there searching the area.
And,
hey, guys,
yes.
I stand corrected. The sheriff's helicopter just asked us, did you guys for sure see him go inside that tunnel? And we certainly did. So we gave them a little bit of intel here that we thought that they had. So now they're going to go address that situation. They're going to look into that tunnel and try to get this guy out of there.
Okay, so Rick and Sky Fox, also Michael Sayer, thank you so much, former LAPD, for helping us through this. Stick around. If something breaks, we'll have it for you. And we'll have it all for you with Tony and Lauren Savon coming up Studio 11 at 5 o'clock. Thank you for being with us. Have a great day, everybody.
Obviously, he's already committed a burglary earlier today, and then he took off with the officers in pursuit. Going through the Southland, the 10 freeway, the 57, the 210, the 605. And now it appears that they're going to take their time. They're not going to rush into anything. They don't want to put themselves in a dangerous situation. And as you said, Josh, we don't know exactly where he is, but there's the footage from earlier, and we've highlighted it, circled it for you, so you can see he does indeed go into that drainage ditch. Again, the suspect was wearing a black, looked to be a long sleeve shirt, black pants, and some type of hat.
Yeah, he put on a hat right as he got out of the car.
And then bright white sneakers.
Yeah. And kudos to...
Oh, they are approaching this.
Yeah, they're going right into it. Again, normally a very dangerous situation, and they of course know where the end of the of that storm drain is, so they believe that they can try and get this guy.
All right, they're going to try and communicate with him and try and talk him out of there without any violence. Again, the pursuit, end of the pursuit in Whittier along a riverbed. The suspect ran into that drainage ditch.
Neighbors worried he could pop up at any moment through a manhole cover. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Colleen Williams.
And I'm Robert Kovacek in tonight for Chuck Henry. This is a pursuit that covered a lot of ground, starting in Diamond Bar just before 12:30 this afternoon. The driver speeding and weaving through traffic on the 10, 57, 210, and 605 freeways, then going off-road near Santa Fe Springs, where the driver then jumped out. NBC4's Kathy Vara is live in nearby Whittier, where they've spent a lot of time this afternoon looking for that driver. Kathy, any luck?
No, not so far. A lot of manpower and a lot of people in this neighborhood watching with concern as the sheriff's department went manhole to manhole searching for that suspect with guns drawn. He's been on the run all afternoon.
CHP taking over this pursuit.
News Chopper 4 was over the freeway pursuit that started in Diamond Bar and turned into an off-road chase by the railroad tracks in the San Gabriel riverbed in Pico Rivera.
So this guy is now doing anything he can to get away from law enforcement officials.
The driver jumped from the SUV, scaled a fence, and quickly disappeared into the brush.
They try to find bushes and think that they can hide in this type of terrain.
Deputies working with the Department of Water and Power plotted a possible course the man could have taken if he entered a series of narrow tunnels by the riverbed, opening the bolted manholes with guns drawn. Special enforcement teams checked and then cleared each manhole. People living in this unincorporated area of Whittier were understandably concerned.
You might come into one of the houses. I got a lot of kids right here. Got a lot of kids. They're probably freaking out right now, walking down from school wondering what's all the cops doing.
Deputies say they have good reason to believe the man is in the tunnel system, so all they have to do is follow the underground path and get him out.
It's gonna be smelly too. Who knows what's in the waters down there? So.
And for now, they have called off the search. We just got that word. They said they've used a lot of manpower. This is a residential burglary suspect, and they tell us they have enough information that they can follow up on leads and hopefully track him down. Live in Whittier, I'm Kathy.